The people that have gone through yo-yo dieting are frustrated. They feel like nothing's working. They've gained weight more so maybe than they had when they even started this yo-yo diet process. So I think they feel defeated. They need some coaching, to even maybe more mental coaching too. Like, hey, you need to get out of this rut, and here's how we're going to do it. And I'm going to be here for you, to be accountable for you, to try to help you do this.
Welcome to the V-Shred Better Body, Better Life podcast, where we help you live your best life while working on your health and fitness goals. We're here to make your journey fun and inspiring.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the V-Shred Better Body, Better Life podcast. I'm your host, Vince Sant, and today I am extremely honored to introduce one of our V-Shred coaches, Kimberly Dzurinda. She is a mom of two. She has her bachelor's of art. She has her fitness management and nutrition certification, is a certified personal trainer, certified bar and boot camp instructor, and we are super excited to have you here on the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about yo-yo dieting. And so I know this is a topic that a lot of our clients come to us with experience in, whether that's by choice. Usually it's not, but it's something that's super common. And so today we're going to be talking all about it, what it is, why people do it, negative effects of it. But before we get into that, Kimberly, why don't you just go ahead, and I know I already introduced you a little bit, but give us a little background on who you are.
Hello, everybody. Again, I'm Kim Dzurinda, and I'm in Ohio. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. Again, married with two kids, and fitness has been a huge priority since I was in my upper teens. Like I said, got a Bachelor of Arts in Fitness Management Nutrition. I've personal trained both in a studio and in home, also online, virtually. And I really, really enjoy helping my clients here at V-Shred, both with their nutrition and their exercise. I get all kinds of questions about both on a daily basis, and all kinds of situations, all kinds of questions, issues, and I'm always happy to help them try to navigate based on what their goals are.
Nice. So I guess with that being said, we can jump right into it. So with the topic being yo-yo dieting, for everybody's kind of probably heard the term before, but can you just give us like a quick breakdown of what is yo-yo dieting?
Yeah, so yo-yo dieting, kind of just what it sounds like, up and down. So, you unintentionally gain weight, whether it be mostly obviously not on purpose, but you're gaining weight for different types of reasons. You say, hey, it's time to change this up. I'm going to try a diet of some kind, whether it be, a quick fix diet. Sometimes people go on these keto diets, paleo diets, just different types of, normally we like those quick fix diets. We go on the diet and we follow the protocol. And then we realize, hey, we did lose some weight on this diet. Might be a lot, might be a little bit, but we're feeling good. And then we go off the diet and we kind of go back to our normal routine, and that weight starts creeping back up again, sometimes even more than what we started off at. So it's kind of like a pattern of up and down, kind of like a yo-yo. We're just kind of going round and round, and we can't ever find like our homeostatic balance in our body to make us feel good and to keep that weight off on a long-term basis. And
what do you think the reason is that people can't stick to that? Because if someone's getting results from a diet, they can just stick to it forever and they can get great results forever. Why is it that doesn't happen?
Right. So a lot of these especially those quick fix diets, they limit, sometimes they limit certain macros. We see the keto diet where our carbs are so limited. We've got the other diets that say, we're going to cut out all dairy. We're going to cut out all your fats. And yeah, we may be able to do that for a short amount of time. But in reality, how long can we go without eating, a decent amount of carbs for the day? How long can we go without eating essential fats? And two, when we are doing our diet program, a lot of times we're doing an exercise program with that. And if you're not getting the macros that your body needs or the calories that you need, then your workouts are gonna fail as well. So I think that's a big part of it. It's just you're limiting so many different things, and your body just can't do it over a long amount of time.
So then why do people do it? And do you think? Because if it gets some good results, then
yeah, they want a quick fix. They think, oh, this looks great. I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 1 month, and I'm going to feel great. I'm going to look great. This is a quick fix. I don't have to do a lot of work. It's going to be maybe a month or two at most, and I'm going to look great, feel great, and then everything's going to be good. And I maybe can stop exercising after these 1 or 2 months. And I think that's what people do. They want that quick fix. They're not thinking long term. They're not thinking, lifestyle change. They're just looking at the short term benefits of it instead of looking long term and seeing, hey, this is a lifestyle change, not just a quick fix.
Right. And I think that's part of the issue is people look at the possible benefits of it. And I'm always like a glass half full kind of guy. But when it comes to something like yo-yo dieting, people are thinking about the possible positive effects that it can have on their body and their mental health and just everything. What would you say are some of the negative effects that people are just kind of overlooking, or what some of the potential health risks?
Well, the first thing is, with the yo-yo diet, I'm going to kind of step ahead here. After we finish the yo-yo diet and we realize that the weight is being gained back, that sets us into, a lot of anxiety and even like a depressive state where, we thought we did what we had to do. We got to where we wanted to be, maybe weight wise, body wise. And then we're like, weight's coming back. I'm not looking as good as I did. So a lot of times that's a mental thing too. I get a lot of clients that come to me in V-Shred that are just so defeated because they've tried so many different diets. I get that all the time and just nothing has worked. And I think a lot of it too, besides the mental state of it, your body goes through so many changes. I mean, when you're depriving yourself of, for instance, carbohydrates, you've heard of like the keto flu, where your body just, you're so many things in your body your body's not used to that. So a lot of times we get fatigued, we get tired, we get anxious because, our body's not used to these changes. And a lot of times, it affects us all around, and it can affect our sleeping, it can affect our moods. And it also affects us, like I said, internally. Sometimes, we have people that it affects our blood pressure. After we come off these diets, it can affect our glucose and our cholesterol. So my goal, like I said, is always to try to make everybody in a balanced state where it's a lifestyle change, not just a quick fix. And a lot of detriments to the body for sure.
And how often do you typically see a client coming to you wanting a nutrition plan, workout plan, who has experienced this in the past?
Oh, I would say daily. I probably get at least 1 or 2 clients, my new clients that I get that come to me with their intros and say, I am kind of at my wit's end. I've tried so many different diets. Nothing has worked and I need some help. So that's when I kind of kick into gear and talk to them about, not just what their diet is, but there's so many other factors that go into it. So it's a lifestyle change. And that's what I always tell them. Don't think of it as a diet. You're not restricting yourself. You're changing yourself.
Right. Yeah. And then do you get any kind of resistance from those clients when they see what a proper meal plan looks like and what proper caloric intake looks like and macro breakdown? Do you get resistance from the clients?
I get a lot of clients that, are actually surprised when they get their meal plan, that a lot of them want a carb cycle plan. And a lot of them are really, really surprised to see that they can eat foods they like. They can eat carbs, they can eat fats, and they can eat them, based on a carb cycle or a schedule that they want to try, and they can't eat their favorite foods. It's just, how are you eating them? What kinds of quantities are you eating them? And a lot of them come back and say, wow, this is really nice to see that I don't have to starve myself. I don't have to limit my calories to, 800 a day or what have you. And I think a lot of it too is just educating the client on what they need to do to have a better lifestyle. It's not, like I said, it's not just the diet, it's exercise, it's sleep, it's stress, all that combined. And I think just educating them on what they need to do is a big help to them for sure.
And for you, as I like to think, I don't know if it's a bad mindset, but I feel like the whole yo-yo thing, like I watched my mom go through just the yo-yo effect of weight loss way more than I watched my dad go through it. Do you think that it's more common with women or no?
Absolutely. Obviously, women are, especially in the younger years, I see a lot of 20, 30-year-olds, more, I would say more, back that up, teens and 20-year-olds that are very, very into their body image. And I think a lot of people in that age group think they need to cut their calories so much and do so much cardio. And I think that the women in that age group especially are affected by that. But I also think, as women age, they get very, very nervous about, hormone shifts, having children, et cetera. They can gain a lot of weight with that. And I think I see a lot more yo-yo dieting with women because, again, they want that quick fix to look good, and they have that body image versus a male. I don't think they have that quite as much. They're more into maybe like getting a little bit more muscular. Women seem to be driven on, I have to look thin, I have to look petite or what have you. I think that this definitely affected women more.
And then as women get into their later years and around where their hormones are changing, how do their bodies respond differently? Like, would someone go take a different approach with the carb cycling that you usually prescribe when they're 30 versus when they're 50?
Definitely. As I always explain to the women that are over 40 and over, first of all, our metabolisms are just slowing down from 40 and over. Big shift in the metabolism. Also, our hormones are shifting. A lot of women are going through menopause. So their bodies are slowing down just naturally versus a 30-year-old, as you mentioned. So the 50-year-old or the 40 or 50-year-old may not need as many carbs as maybe a 30-year-old because their body's naturally burning up more fuel at that age. However, the carb cycling plan still does work nicely for a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds because it gives you a couple days where you're on the lower side, and then it gives you a couple days to eat a little bit on the higher side. So it gives them a nice mix. And when you correlate that with exercise, it can really make a big difference for sure.
Yeah. And I think the biggest, like, to me, when I talk about carb cycling, there's obviously the physical benefits of it, where it's like great for just your body and it's great for sustained weight loss. But I think the biggest piece of it is mental. I think it's being able to know that in tomorrow or in 2 days, you get to have a bunch of carbs. And like you mentioned earlier, those carbs can consist of foods that you don't normally think that you get to eat when you're on a diet. And people kind of like people see our ads all the time and they see me eating pizza and donuts and all this junk food in our ads, and they're like, you don't really eat that. I'm like, I do really eat that. I just don't eat that every single day. Or if I did want to eat donuts every single day, I probably could. I just have to make sure that it's in moderation and I'm adjusting everything else so that I do eat that. And obviously I'm not going to get the best results eating donuts every day, but it's not impossible. And so I think that's really what you said about that was really important, is like women are, or just everybody is surprised by the foods that they're allowed to eat. It's just they have to understand portion control and eating everything in moderation.
And also, with the nice thing about the carb cycling is a lot of my clients will say, oh, maybe they're going out to dinner and it's a Friday and that's one of their high carb days. And, they're excited because, they can kind of plan their out to dinner meal around that carb cycle. And, what I always tell them is, when you're going out to dinner, fit in your protein, fit in your veggies earlier in the day, and then, save your carbs for maybe later in the day, because as we know, when we go out to dinner, that can be a high carb thing for sure. But, save yourself, balance yourself around that meal. And it's so important. Like I'm kind of getting off the subject, but the exercise, I can't drive that enough, how important it is to keep that metabolic rate up so that when you do kind of go off the rails a little bit going out to dinner, your metabolism kicks in and you're burning calories even at rest. So.
And do you generally have we're actually going, for everybody listening, we're actually going to be doing another episode where we're talking about weight training versus cardio for women. So make sure you guys are staying tuned or checking out the other episodes that we have. But do you generally have your clients match their training up with their diet?
Definitely. What I try to tell them to do, depending on what exercise program they're using, on their lower carb days, which normally are about 3 days a week or so, I tell them to do their lighter exercises on that day. Either take your rest day on maybe 1 or 2 of those days, do some stretching, do some light cardio, maybe the lighter weight training. And then as you go up to your higher days, your higher days are when you really want to make the most of those carbs and do your HIIT exercising, if you're a little bit more of a heavy lifter, do some more heavy lifting on that days. But the higher intensity days of exercise should correspond to, your higher carb days. That way you're not falling into traps where you're fatigued or you're out of breath or what have you. It works much better for the body.
And I know you have a pretty extensive background in nutrition. Have you ever fallen subject to yo-yo dieting yourself?
To be honest with you, when I was in my teens, my senior year in high school, I wanted to lose a lot of weight, and I started going through, and this was back before a lot of studies were done on, what you should and shouldn't eat and what types of exercises were beneficial. But I actually fell into the trap of cutting calories so extensively and doing so much cardio that I did lose a lot of weight. I lost a lot of muscle tone, and I was weak, and I wasn't getting a lot of compliments on how I was looking. People actually thought I looked better before, but after that time, when I went into college, I started getting a little bit more educated. And, now to me, it's more of like, I want to feel healthy. I want to feel strong, and you need the nutrients to do that, and different types of nutrients and different types of exercising. So yeah, I did fall back into that when I was young. And I think, like I said, a lot of girls that age have a lot of body image issues, in that age group. But I think as you get more educated and you get a little bit older, you kind of realize more than that, for sure. So yeah, I did. I fell into the low calorie, work yourself out type thing for hours, and that's kind of where I fell right there.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the younger demographic having like body image issues. How do you think that just the media and just like I guess like societal pressures influence women and how they should look and how they feel about themselves?
Yeah. And I think that, like I said, in that high school era and even middle school nowadays, sometimes even elementary, I think, the internet's huge, social media is huge. They try to portray, that a girl should be this Muslim waist, just not so much focused on what they look like muscular wise, but they want everyone wants to be thin, and right, look thin and fit into clothes size 0 or 2 or what have you. And I think a lot of girls feel that pressure from not only social media, but their friends. Some friends, some people just have different bodies at that age, as they, everybody's got their own body frame. So I think a lot of people try to be sometimes be a body frame that they're really not meant to be at. And I think that's why it's such a bad. And at that age, you're not really, your brain is still maturing. So you're not thinking clearly, about everything, right, the whole picture of it. So.
How do you think that women should, the best way to go about breaking that cycle? Because it can be tough, because you have all this pressure on you, and you're constantly on I think social media is a great thing, and also a terrible thing, and it's just really affecting people's just mental health in general. And everybody's comparing themselves to others, and everybody's social media is their highlights. Nobody shows what their struggles are. There's a bunch of photoshopping. There's all this stuff that's going on. How do not just women in general, or not just women, but everybody in general, how do you break that cycle?
I think a lot of it's just education, and I'll use myself as an example. I have 2 boys, and they're obviously they're boys, so they have different body frames than girls in that age group. But I educate them all the time about foods that they need to eat. I'm very big into their exercise regimens, and I educate them. And I think a lot of maybe parents that have kids, they need to sit down with them and really, really kind of give them some insight as to what is healthy, not necessarily what makes you look thin or what makes you look good, what makes you feel healthy, what's going to make you perform better in the sport that you want to do, or, what's going to make you feel better about yourself. It's not just, don't focus so much on the body image, focus on your overall well-being. So I think a lot of it's just education to people. And even as people get older, I have clients that are in their 50s and 60s, and, a lot of them just don't know what they need to do to feel better. Like I said, it's not just cutting calories, it's, sleeping and stress, and just giving them all kinds of education about that, and kind of veering them away from, the social media status of what you should be, I guess.
Right.
Just be what you're supposed to be,
Yeah. What would you say is like a high level overview of like, because like obviously you can't just type into Google how to get help. I mean, you can type anything into Google, but like you're going to find a bunch of nonsense. You're going to find a bunch of good information, but how do you go about sifting through all of that to find what's actually real? Because I think that's probably the biggest issue that people have, or the biggest struggle that people have, is if you ask 10 people at the gym the best exercise for weight loss, you're going to get 10 different answers. Or if you ask 10 nutritionists the best diet, you're going to get 10 different answers. So how do people go about sifting through all the information out there to find what's right?
Yeah, and I think that's very tough for people to do, because like you said, you are going to get so many different opinions. But when I've done my research on the yo-yo dieting, I think it's really helpful for people to find themselves a mentor or a coach. In our case, we have, our V-Shred coaches, which we help our clients all the time. And I think a lot of people need that guidance from just one person that's got some education and some life experience and can help them navigate what's best for them. So I think instead of looking up on the internet or, doing all kinds of research from different people, try to focus on maybe one or two people that can help you. Maybe a coach that you're working with if you're in a sport, a parent, or like in our case, we offer, the coaching. I get a lot of clients that say, I'm so thankful I have someone that, I can talk to about things and have accountability. And I think that's big. I think people need to stop sifting around and just focus on, maybe somebody that can help them, that's looking to in their best interest, not in socially what's everybody's best interest.
Right. Yeah. And that's always a shocking one to me when people are hesitant to getting coaches, because they have coaches in all these other areas that maybe aren't necessarily called coaches. But like a CPA, that's technically a tax coach. Whether it's a business coach, whether it's somebody that does works on your car, a person who works on your car is essentially a car coach. And so it's like all these people who are like doing these things for you, but then the most important thing in your entire life is your health, because if you don't have health, then you have nothing. But people are hesitant and they just think that they can do this thing themselves, when I don't think understanding nutrition and exercise is super hard, but it definitely takes a bit of reading and studying and testing. And so it takes a little bit of time to figure it out, but once it's figured out, it's figured out. And so my question for you is, when you get a client who comes to you and they're just, let's say they're clueless about what they should be doing and they want to lose weight, how quickly, or if at all, do you see them go from being that clueless client to being someone who's kind of ready to just go do it themselves?
Yeah. And I think like I said, it all depends on the person. I think a lot of the people, they really need to, I'm the coach and I'm the one that provides them the plan and sometimes the exercise plan, but they have to do it. They have to do it themselves. I always say, you're doing the work yourself. I'm just providing you the guide to do it. So they have to mentally be ready to learn it and to want to do it and to make changes. A lot of people come to me and say, I do cardio, an hour a day. I walk an hour a day. And then I kind of change their mindset. Well, have you thought about weight training? You have to make them think about different things and have them do it and see, hey, I do feel better now that I'm strength training. I do notice some changes in my body. Photos are very important. I have clients take photos all the time. Take them when you start, take them in the middle of the cycle, or take them at the end. And a lot of people feel like, I think when they see they progress and they kind of get the gist of what they should be eating, sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes I have clients that have been here for a year. So I think a lot of it's their drive. They have to be willing to, take my advice and roll with it and try different things, and not be afraid to come back and say, I really don't know. I really don't know here why I'm doing this, what I'm doing. And I always encourage them, ask questions, Nothing's a bad question, right? You need to learn. And sometimes we try different things with their exercise routines. If this isn't working, hey, well, let's try this plan instead. So they have to be flexible and they have to be willing to try it. In particular, one client I have, I think was in her 70s. I had her for maybe like 9 months. She went from absolutely despising exercise to maybe within the 3 or 4 months exercising daily, working out different muscles. And she looked like a different person. She looked like she lost 10 years off her life, honest to God, when she finished. And I thought, well, that was really nice to see somebody that was a little bit older that changed, and was willing to try different things. Wasn't stubborn, was willing to give her all for what she wanted.
And then, so you talk about like the mindset that people have to have when they're getting started on a plan. Do you generally find that there's a big difference in the mindset of somebody who has seriously struggled with yo-yo diets in the past versus somebody who's just kind of fallen off in the later years?
Yes, I would definitely say that. The people that have gone through yo-yo dieting are frustrated. They come to us because, like I said earlier, they feel like nothing's working. They've gained weight more so maybe than they had when they even started this yo-yo diet process. So I think they feel defeated. They need some coaching, to even maybe more mental coaching too. Like, hey, you need to get out of this rut, and here's how we're going to do it. And I'm going to be here for you, to be accountable for you, to try to help you do this. With your weekly check-ins, you reach out when you need that, versus somebody that, as you mentioned, is older, that maybe hasn't done the yo-yo dieting. I think they're just looking for more of, how can I live longer? People that are up in the, the older years, they're not looking to get buff and, 100% like, big and muscular. They're looking for more of, how can I improve my health? How can I live longer? How can I maybe get rid of some of the diseases that I may be, prone to having, diabetes, whatever, high blood pressure. I think they're in a different mindset that way versus somebody that's just gone through a yo-yo diet that's just defeated all around.
And is that approach how you coach them different?
Definitely. The yo-yo dieters that are defeated, I actually talk to them mostly right off the bat about how they're feeling mentally. So I think that plays a big part in how they're going to work on the program. If they're defeated, they're going to be less apt to try maybe different exercises. They're going to be less apt to try a carb cycle plan. They don't know what to do. They're so frustrated that they're down and out, and obviously they're stressed. So the stress is going to affect their weight loss. And I try to talk to them about that as well, because negative stress is just no good for the weight loss cycle.
Yep.
And somebody that's a little bit older, a lot of times they'll actually tell us they have maybe some ongoing issues or are predisposed to different issues. And then we work on that. I say, how can we change your lifestyle? How can we, get you a little bit more active? Maybe we need to get you walking a little bit more each day. So it's a different approach. And I think everybody's, responds to it differently. You kind of get the tone of how the client is and work from there,
And you bring up one thing that stuck out to me, what you just said just now, is you bring up negative stress, and you specifically said negative stress, not just stress. So does that mean there's positive stress? And if so, what is the difference between these, and how does negative stress versus positive stress affect somebody's mental or physiological conditions?
Yeah. Well, positive stress, unfortunately, we don't get enough of that, I feel like. But positive stress is a good thing. I always say things that make you happy, like you get a promotion from a job, you're so excited. In my case, my son, he plays baseball, and when he gets a great play, he's overjoyed. We're excited for him. Anything that brings you so much happiness and peace for a moment is such a good feeling for you, and you're elated, and you have endorphins running through your body, and you feel good. And as a result, you tend to feel better about yourself and make maybe healthier decisions mentally and physically, versus somebody that's going through a lot of stress. And people have so many different types of stress, like there's everyday job stress, there's kids stress, there's long-term stress. I get people that are going through divorces, people that have had deaths in the family. And all of that takes a toll on your body in so many negative ways, negative stress, negative feeling in your body. You're fatigued. Your metabolism slows down when you're stressed. So what I always try to focus on, and like I mentioned before, a lot of these people with yo-yo diets are in sometimes a depressive state or an anxious state. So we need to get through that. We need to get out of that negative stress thought and and make yourself more of a positive thinker. And that's really hard to do, especially people that are going through a lot in their lives. So it can be a very big challenge for sure.
Yeah. And I think one of the issues with the whole yo-yo relation to stress is that, because I was going to ask, do you think it's stress that leads to yo-yo or yo-yo that leads to stress? But I think the answer is it's one big circle, and they just keep feeding right back into each other. And so people go down these roads of 10 plus years of yo-yo dieting where they just continuously stress themselves out more and more. Do you see that happening a lot?
Definitely. And like I said, I guess mentioning with yo-yo dieting, there's, along with yo-yo dieting comes, a lot of people go on binges. They've deprived their body for so long of maybe carbohydrates or fats or whatever, and they get into this feeling like I have to have this food, and then they go through like a binge cycle, or they can develop different types of maybe just eating disorders or what have you. And I think, like you said, it's just like a circle. I'm stressed, I eat. I'm stressed, I make bad food choices. I'm stressed, I don't exercise. And then what happens is you're gaining weight, and then you're stressed about that, and then you go back and try to find a quick fix again. So it is a big circle. And I think mental health is sometimes more important than our physical health, because if we don't have mental health, then it does affect how we feel every day, and then we're not doing what we need to do for our bodies.
And how do you think, like carb cycling, for example, obviously if somebody comes to you with a specific request to follow a paleo diet, or if they do want to do keto, and that is something that fits their lifestyle, or fasting or whatever, then we go in that direction. But generally, you would say you go carb cycling, right?
Most definitely.
And so how do you think carb cycling helps avoid that feeling of depletion that leads to binging?
Yeah. And like we mentioned before, the carb cycling, we do have our low, medium, and high days. So you're getting a variety throughout the week. And you have, typically we do like a low, mid, high, low, mid, high, low day. So you're getting a variety throughout the week. So, and on your low days, you're not completely deprived of carbs. I mean, the highest we go is 20% of the daily value. So you're still getting carbs. You may not just be getting as many carbs as your body's used to.
And that's tons of fat. Some people love fats. And so.
Yeah. Because obviously the less carbs you're getting, the more we have to, increase the proteins and fats. And people, I think, enjoy that part where they can maybe eat, some more peanut butter for that day or what have you, or nuts. And, as the days go on throughout the week, you eat a little bit more, and you're not ever fully deprived, I don't think. And there are some clients, that maybe on their low carb days, they maybe feel a little bit used to it. So sometimes we just tweak it a little bit, or, I tell them eat more protein that day and see if that helps. So some of it's just like, you play around with some of the foods and the numbers and try to make it feasible for them so they can sustain it too.
And do you generally find that clients find it a lot easier to stick to it after a certain amount of time? Is it something that stays difficult? Is it something that starts easy, or is it just person to person?
I think it's person to person, but for the majority of my clients, I really think they enjoy the carb cycling. If anything, I get clients that say sometimes they think that they feel like they need to go on maybe one of our low carb diets, where sometimes I think that they're significantly overweight, and the carb cycling is still not cutting it for what they want to do. So we drop into a low carb cycling plan, and again, they're still getting carbs on that cycle. But I would say the majority of my clients, we normally see them for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, what have you. And then after that, I feel like they get a pretty good gist of what they need to do. I get a lot of people that say, I feel great. I'm going on my own now. And when they reach their goal weight, I set them up on a balanced plan. So they go and they have an idea of what they need to do to maintain their weight when they get to that point.
And just a quick summary of, what do you mean a balanced plan?
So the balanced plan is a little bit different from the carb cycle. I call the balanced plan more of the maintenance type plan, where you're instead of varying your carbs throughout the days and the week, we keep them pretty similar. So you usually set about 30% of your carbs every day of the week, and then your proteins and fat are again stable as well, so that your body's more on a maintenance type plan, so that if you keep up with your exercise and you keep up with the maintenance type plan, normally, you can maintain the weight that you lost successfully.
That makes sense. And then what resources do you think people can turn to when it comes to breaking the cycle of yo-yo dieting?
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't want them to always turn to the websites for sure. I'd like to see a lot of people turn to more of a coaching approach and get someone that they feel comfortable talking to. A lot of my clients or most of my clients are women. So I think you need to find somebody you're comfortable talking to about the things you've gone through that have brought you to this point. And, tell your coach, find a coach that you can talk to about your mental struggles, about your physical struggles, and about your past weight issues. And, find a good coach that's really concerned about you and can get you back on a plan that's sustainable for you. And I always tell my clients, it's one day at a time. I don't want you thinking, what am I going to look like in a week from now? What am I going to look like in a month from now? It's a daily thing. So you have to work on it on a daily basis. And you don't want to look too far in the future for what you think you may need to look like. We're going to take it day by day, and we're going to work with you step by step to get you to the point that you want to be at, for sure.
And we can talk about that in a future episode, but do you think that a lot of people, is that a common thing you see, is people are focused too far in the future of this destination?
Definitely. Oh, in 2 months, I have to lose this much weight. And I say, well, it's possible, but, it's going to be based on how your body reacts, how you follow the plan, and how you're coming along with your exercise. I really stress exercise a lot with my clients, not always, high intensity for everybody, but exercise that works for their bodies, because my goal is to always increase the client's metabolisms. It's not about the scale number all the time. It's how you feel. How are you getting stronger? Are you sleeping good? So I focus on that more so than always looking at the number on the scale. So yes. It's a day by day process with everybody, and everybody loses weight at different speeds, for sure.
And for everybody listening, I know I mentioned it earlier, we're going to be going over weight training versus cardio for women specifically in another episode. So depending on when you're listening to this, it's either going to be right after or it's already live. So make sure you guys are going and checking it out. But Kim, that's really all I had for you today. Is there anything else that I didn't ask that maybe you wanted to say?
No, like I said, I just want everybody out there, male or female, any age, to know that, you can change yourself and you can do it. And it takes a lot of work. But the benefits are so strong, and you just have to believe in yourself that you can do it. I've worked with so many people of different ages, and it can be done, and you can do it. So, don't go in the mindset of I need to lose weight really quick. Get out of that yo-yo dieting mindset and, think about changing your life for the better.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've said it on this podcast before, but there's a quote that I absolutely love. It's the person who loves the journey will always go further than the person who loves the destination. That's
true. Yep. And I think that's with everything in life. I mean, you have to love what you're doing, and you have to put your heart into it to get the results that you want, for sure.
Yep. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on here with us. This was awesome. If anybody has any comments, feedback, there should be a place to leave down below. Make sure you guys are coming back and checking out all the other episodes that we have. We're going to have Kim on a bunch of other episodes. So, Kim, thank you for being here with us again.
Thank you, everybody. Yes.
It was a blast.
Come to V-Shred.
All right. Now, if you are looking for some extra support and you aren't looking to spend a fortune, you should consider working with one of our V-Shred certified coaches. We'll figure out your macros. We'll figure out your calories. We'll figure out what your custom meal plan will look like. And yes, we'll make sure that it contains your favorite foods. And basically all you do is you let your coach know what you like, what you don't like, because when we say custom, we mean it. And you get unlimited emails, you get weekly check-ins, you get access to our brand new coaching app where you can message them at any time about anything with any questions. Our coaches are here to help you reach your goals, and they care about your success. And so all the details about how it works is in the description down below. So check that out if you want to. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of V-Shred's Better Body, Better Life podcast. Whether you're doing one of our programs, taking our supplements, or just doing things on your own, tune in every week for exclusive content with Vince, V-Shred trainers, and special guests as they share valuable tips around motivation, workouts, food, and living a healthier lifestyle. See you next time.